if you don't have that blend, and if you don't know how to, this is the fun one that I hear is, well, I can do it myself. I've been working on it for a while. Have you?
Yeah.
Do you know what you're score? I'm doing pretty good. I've got multiple cards with my business name on it right now. And I'm like, oh. And then we pull it up and they're like, why isn't that there? Well, they don't report. If you don't know who reports, if you don't know who they report to, if you don't understand the underwriting criteria or the utilization that you're going to need to have to get things going, you're just shooting yourself in the foot.
Or know when you can apply without putting your date of birth.
Right. Hey guys, welcome back to Grindwise. I'm Erle, and as always, I'm sitting here with my partner, Brent. Today on Grindwise, we are going to be talking about something A, near and dear to our heart, but B, should be near and dear to your heart, and if it's not, it will be soon. And that's the Try Turing membership that we have been putting together for over a year. Today, we are going to review it. We're going to get into some of the details. We're actually going to show you inside the membership some of the things that you can expect to find as a Try Turing member. But Brent, before we get started, talk to us about the nexus of what you and I looked at before even engaging in creating this membership.
Well, we had a vision in our mind. We want to make this affordable for everybody because, we talked to a lot of businesses that can't afford our one-on-one coaching part. And so rather than leave that person behind and say, sorry, we can't help you, we wanted to bring something to the table that everybody could afford. That's number one. Number two, we wanted to let it be a way that people could set their business up without having to go out and hire an attorney or a CPA or something. They can literally go through there and get set up the right way the first time.
Okay, well, that's great. So you mentioned something earlier. And by the way, you guys, if you don't notice, we're not in our normal studio. We're here at Blue Couch Studios. They are the people that put this together, make Grindwise happen. So we're in their studios today because I think today is kind of a special day in that we are talking about the TriTuring membership portal. But you said something a minute ago, which was the live coaching. Does this mean because TriTuring membership's out that the live coaching aspect of building corporate credit goes away?
Absolutely not. I still talk to people, every day that want the live coaching. We're in this world now where AI is a big piece of everything, right? Mm-hmm. But you also have people that don't want anything to do with AI. And you have people that need some extra attention, and we not taking anything away from any of our current TJ members. They're going to continue to get that. People still want the live coaching. They still have that option.
So there's a lot of different steps that come into play when it goes into building corporate credit for your business. And we talk to people all the time, Brent, that don't even realize that corporate credit's a thing. Maybe just a highlight touch on why is this even so important to business owners to be looking at building corporate credit?
Well, it separates your personal assets and your business assets. You go to your CPA, what do they tell you? Separate your personal and your business. But when you go personally guarantee something, you just commingle. And that's actually can suck yourself into a lawsuit if your company's sued. So as you're building that credit, you eventually step away from the business credit side into the corporate credit side. You can go out and buy vehicles, equipment, real estate, things like that without a personal guarantee once you have got a credit profile established.
I remember when we first started talking about this, and it was really on the heels of having already spent years helping. I don't even know how many thousands of businesses we've helped, but I think one of the things that always bothered us, and we would talk about it quite a bit, is, man, John needs this so badly. And I'm like, well, why didn't John get involved? And you're like, John just can't afford it right now. That pricing threshold. And I think that's where our conversation started, which was, how can we make this affordable to everybody? Because we talked last week on Grindwise about how 99% of the businesses in the United States are actually small to medium-sized businesses. Maybe touch on that.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're a small to medium size or an extra large business. I mean, I talk all the time about my $6 million trucking company that had, we spent around $1,000 plus a month every single month, and my credit profile said I had a $7,600 credit limit recommendation.
That's insane.
I needed this process for that company because whenever I'd go buy trucks, I personally guaranteed them all. In fact, the month of lockdown, my personal credit got hit 42 times. Had I had the credit in place, I wouldn't have got my personal credit hit at all. And when your corporate credit or business credit gets hit, it doesn't affect it.
Okay. So we spent, and I'm not going to get into how much we spent, but it was a lot, and it was a lot of time and development putting this thing together so that we could have a platform that we built based on all of our years of experience doing this. There's things in this that aren't in our coached platform, things that we thought, this is probably necessary, but it's all AI based coaching, but it's videos. It's people that are actually talking to you, going step by step through things. And we're going to show some people a little bit of that today, but if you're a business right now, and you've had a conversation with us, and you couldn't afford to get engaged, but it's driven you nuts for a year. This is now that opportunity where you can get in there and get access to something that you otherwise couldn't afford before, right?
Absolutely. And I see this as a pivotal point for any small business to start establishing the credit, and no matter where they're at in their process. It's very important. It's just like, I talk to people that they say, I have good credit with my bank. Well, your bank won't ever go without that personal guarantee. And so opening up the world to these businesses, when I had that trucking company, I asked for a $100,000 line of credit at the same bank that my money was always deposited every Friday. And they told me, no, I didn't have any credit. And I said, I pay my bills. I mean, come on. I didn't even think about, I could go to hundreds of other lenders, and maybe one of them would have done it, but I still didn't have any credit.
It's one of the funny things. I don't know if it's funny, haha, Brent, but as we've went along in this journey, it hasn't been just about business credit for us, because when you start helping businesses and you realize that there's so much that as business owners we didn't know, collectively we have 30 years of business building experience, right? Owning 60, and operating
60 years.
What did I say?
30.
Oh, well, yeah, I was thinking about just you. I'm just kidding. No, a little bit more for me, guys, but anyway, we've been able to pull a lot of resources and a lot of things together. And when we started talking about creating a membership, it was really so that we could house everything that we do in one spot and create kind of that magic Rolodex for businesses, to where they don't have to go in and Google or DuckDuckGo something and sort through pages of advertising to hopefully parse out what's good and what's not good. We've pulled things together based on experience.
Yeah. I think that trying to put everything in one place, for instance, TriTuring has a electronic file cabinet built in, a secure file cabinet. So imagine you're a business owner and you're out there, applying for loans or whatever else. And there's a whole bunch more things that are coming that is going to be important for. But you can upload your tax returns, all your documents. So if you go to a bank and you're looking to get a line of credit, and they say, well, you have your operating agreement, do you have your articles of incorporation?
Right.
And you just go, yeah, let me open up my TriTuring software, and there it all is.
Well, that's a nightmare when it comes to paperwork and things like that, especially if you're incorporated.
Yep.
You're constantly doing notes, you're constantly doing addendums, and then you're constantly going back to your emails and DocuSign and LegalTuring or LegalZoom and all those different outfits looking for your documents. The development team that actually built this for us, we said security is prime number one, and the head developer on this actually did a lot of the security protocol and development for AWS themselves.
Yeah, as well as the Federal Reserve, I think.
Yeah, and the Federal Reserve. So for people that are looking for a place where they can house everything, keep your whole business there. It's like, you remember back in the day, Brent, we had black books. Well, you probably don't. I did. We had a little black book. We kept all our numbers.
Is that a diary?
That was entirely different. The black book was where we kept all of our information, right? And then you had Rolodex and things like that. I'm dating myself. Look, the bottom line is when we had TriTuring designed and developed, we designed it with that in mind, so businesses could have a repository to keep all of their documents in there and have them safe and secure, so they're not in little spots where people can hack in and grab stuff and go, oh, look what I got here, Yeah,
you're right. The security measures that have been taken on this are crazy. It's just having somebody with that expertise. The highest level of certification for cybersecurity is who helped, or one of the main developers on this. So it's phenomenal.
So we've been talking for a long time about AI and the different tools and the things that we've brought to the table. And one of the problems that we have as business consultants, our field has this problem also, is that we do so many different things. We have access to so many different things that are really earth-shattering in business, because most people don't know about them. But it's a really long conversation to say, by the way, we've got this, we've got this, we've got this, we've got this. Oh, and did I mention this? Now having the ability to say everything's right there in the membership. And a lot of the stuff we're actually giving away free, Brent.
Yeah. I always go back to, for instance, when I had my trucking company, I had subscriptions for different places. I didn't have to do a lot of things, but I had the Rocket Lawyer for documents.
Right.
I had you have all these other different programs for different things, AI softwares, and, I had an e-file cabinet. I mean, I probably paid $700-800 a month in subscriptions for my trucking company. That's all built right into the Try Turing.
So let's talk about some of the free things.
Okay.
First and foremost, something that we've been selling for years and years and years, and we'll continue to sell with live coaching if people want to go that route. But now they can actually go in and with AI consulting and coaching and avatars and videos, you can build your corporate credit for free.
Yeah, I mean, with the membership, absolutely.
Yeah, so that was a big high dollar item that we continue to do, but it has a team behind it with live coaches and things like that. But we've taken our years of experience and put that in a way that's pretty cohesive. People can follow it pretty easily. But another one of the free things in our family of Turing businesses, we have Profit Turing, and that's a way that we take a look at businesses' revenue and what they're doing and understand a lot of the baseline KPIs. And typically we can uncover around 6 figures in missing revenue. And as it sat before, it was about $1,490 to sit down and get that initial report with one of our master coaches. And now
it's free. It's included in the membership.
Yeah.
You bring up a good point. I mean, something you forgot, a free accredited business valuation at the end of 12 months.
That's right. Yeah. So if you're in a business and you're like, I wonder what I'm worth, or maybe you want to buy a business, or maybe you're just somebody's trying to buy you, you've got to know what your business is worth. If you're trying to go get lending, you've got to know what your business is worth. Those business valuations, they've been selling forever for, on the low side, about $3,500 to get a 25, 35 page accredited valuation. In the Try Turing, for a Try Turing member, if they're with us for 12 months, it's free.
Yeah. And if they want it sooner, it's $1,000.
Yeah, it's under $1,000 actually, just by a few dollars, but that's insane. But one of the things that we demanded when we were dealing with vendors or people that wanted to be a part of this membership platform so they could have exposure to all the other businesses out there is they had to agree that if a Try Turing member came to them by way of their membership to get these services, they would give it to them for less than if that person had circled around and came to them, from Main Street.
Right. And that's a good point. I mean, we can sit here and talk. We could talk for an hour and a half about all the different things in there. I mean, what's one thing a lot of small businesses need? They need a bookkeeper.
Right.
We have bookkeepers in there that actually give a better rate. If you want to do your bookkeeping on your own, QuickBooks is in there. It's a better rate than you can get on QuickBooks' website. So all these little nuances are what do you always say? Membership has its benefits.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, it definitely does. What another free thing, because the reality is we're going to continue. You and I have about 300 miles worth of things that are coming into this membership that it's not going to necessarily raise the price for people. We made it really, really stupid affordable. But we're getting all the documents you could ever need in business. I think there's 3,000 plus business templates that they can use. They can edit. And then they can save and store in their own system. That's that big document libraries there also.
Yeah. And we have the 10 million plus marketing materials, and we don't have that in there yet, but
it's right there. Yeah.
It's getting, we have to parse it all apart and put it back together. So it's coming in there. There's so many aspects. And like you said, we've got other things on the horizon, and we probably shouldn't tell everybody what's coming yet, but there's a lot of things coming. I will tell you something that I wanted to bring up on the podcast. There's a business credit card out there that I have been notorious for bashing because they don't report.
Right. Well, I know which one you're talking about.
And we are in talks with them to get them in our platform.
Yep. Yeah. And frankly, we're in talks with a lot of companies now because they understand that, look, if a company's already substantiated themselves, they've said, "Hey, I qualify for credit." That's everybody wants to deal with you, right? If you foundationally put your things together, let's kind of move along, because I think that there's we could talk to the cows come home about all the different things that are in there. Suffice to say, when a person becomes a member, there's going to be notifications that are constantly in there of the upcoming rollouts and stuff like that. So it's almost going to be like it's my birthday here in a week. All the time.
I want to hit on one more important thing inside the software.
Do it.
So as a TriTuring member, you can become an affiliate.
Yes, you can.
And you make $15 on everybody else's membership that signs up underneath you. So what's it, $7 and their membership's free?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. If you get in there and you're the type of person who goes, I like free, and I definitely knew the value of building corporate credit and what it brings to the table. Share it with a few people, and you can make money on that, and that actually graduates up. And if they share to people, you make a piece there as well. So it's actually a unique income stream as well, just for sharing the TriTuring membership.
Yep. TriTuring on the website, we have a affiliate calculator, and people can really play with that if they've got a big following.
Yeah, if you want to dream, it's pretty cool. Yeah. I don't know how many people. Some people know thousands of people, Brent.
Right.
Some people have hundreds of businesses in their Rolodex. But the reality is, when something's free, when you're giving away that much value, there's probably $10,000 worth of free value on the front side just for becoming a TriTuring member. If you take advantage of it, it becomes pretty impactful. It's pretty easy to talk about, but show us how somebody becomes a TriTuring member.
Yeah. So you just go to tryturing.ai. And TriTuring is spelled. We'll put a link down here in the chat.
I'm looking at it over on the screen here. Blue Couch is great, by the way.
Yeah,
I love their studios.
So I you know what I think I'll do? I'll go ahead. I'm going to refresh it so people can see because it sets up with all these animations at the beginning. So
build real business credit. Say goodbye to personal guarantees.
Then we got a video walkthrough, kind of the. It's not really the demo. We'll have that up soon, but it's kind of a commercial, if you will. You got the sign up today button right there. That's pretty self-explanatory.
Sure.
There's some FAQs down toward the bottom.
Look at those podcasts right there.
Yeah, podcasts.
Yep.
Both popping up. Looks like we're.
But if you go back to those podcasts, Brent, they actually do a really succinct breakdown of what corporate credit is and why you need it for your business. So if somebody has questions that are going, I don't even know why I need this, watch those because that's really going to help you identify how you should be relating to business credit in your own life.
Yep, 100%. And then you keep going down. Look at this, all these things, all these tools. Yep. And like I said, we've added things since we've built this, and we've been so heavy in development that we don't have everything up on there.
Oh, stop right there. $99 a month. There is not a business alive that cannot afford $99 a month, especially for something that we sold for thousands of dollars, albeit it comes with live coaching and they can still get it, but $99 a month, Brent. So this is what it looks like. This is the difficult registration, to become a member.
Yep. We also haven't said something that's really important.
What's that?
Once you become a member, you can add a second company, a third company, a fourth company, and then you just have a toggle drop down and it'll go to each company and help you build the credit for all your companies. And it's an extra $29.95 per company.
That's huge. Look, a lot of you out there that might be watching this are like, well, hey, Erle, Brent, I've got a bunch of companies. Don't worry about that. We've factored that in right there on the profile. You can utilize this membership and build credit on 4, 5, 6, 10 companies, however many companies you have, and it'll keep it separated so you always know where you're at within that build for your company.
Yep. And, I will say one thing that we are working on. Building out an actual real-time monitoring software inside of our software.
Right.
That's going to be a huge lift, and I'm
we're going to get it. We'll
get it.
Well, it's not just the one thing. I mean, we've got a lot. Our phones are blowing up. Our emails are completely filled with people wanting to be a part of the TriTuring web platform, the membership. But we have rules. We have rules that are associated with it. But hey, back to how you sign up for TriTuring.
All right. So I backed out of there. So let's just there's on here a bunch of times.
So you sign up,
walk through all that right there, and then after you get done doing that, you'll get an email with a password reset, and you come right here, log in with that username and password, prompts you to reset the password, and you're in.
So Brent, let's take a look at what they get when they actually get in there for the first time into their membership.
Yep. So they end up on a home page. They have a little tutorial that walks them through, where to find things, quick steps.
Great.
You can just click through them. It tells you all the different tools and notifications, and of course the hub where all the stuff lives. And then of course Ask Alan, our chat bot.
Right.
And you can also, you got your profile. This is something, again, so many things. So here's the file cabinet. And
let's see that. Okay.
And guess what else? I pay, and I need to stop my membership too, a virtual business card.
Oh,
it's built in here.
Show us where.
It's right there. Download V card.
So when you put in all your company information, all your contact information, that's your downloadable V card right there.
Yep. And you can put all your, so you can do, of course, this is for TJ, and I just have all my Facebook links here, but LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, all those different accounts, the company website, the address for the company, all that stuff's saved. And then of course, my name is saved in here as well as a user. And so whenever I hit get V card, it will actually, I can download that right to my phone, and I've got a virtual business card.
So it's going to be interesting for people looking at this right now. They actually don't even realize that a lot of the aesthetics that we have going into this are happening this week and day after day after day, because we're constantly improving. One of the reasons that we went ahead and said, okay, we've got to get this out there so people can start using it is there's plenty of things in here, but it kills us every time we run across somebody that we know needs to be building corporate credit and have access to all the tools and relationships that we put in here, and they just can't get it because it's not affordable. $99. Anybody can afford that, Brent. But yeah, let's go ahead and so this looks like we're looking at the course now.
We are, and it has again a course navigation.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I'm just going to hit skip.
Oh, you're going to skip the tour?
Yep.
All right.
So walks through setting the business up.
Perfect.
This actually will tell you if you've never started a business, never set one up ever, this will actually tell you step by step on how to do it. Now, if you already have one, you simply go in there and plug in the current information. But they're like used to your point. There's FAQs and these are clickable videos, so it'll actually tell you.
Wow!
Tells you,
look at all those sections.
What is an LLC? There's a video right there. It tells you.
Can you click that?
Yep.
Right wow. So, and it shows you how to do your BOI filing, all that. So really every aspect of what it takes to set your foundation as a company is built in here. But I see there's multiple steps and looks like multiple tiers. And
and it tells you the do's and don'ts.
So can I just skip to the end on this, Brent?
No, you cannot. You have to finish every single step. You have to have all the check marks, and when you get a check mark, you get confetti. It says congratulations, So no, you got to go through every step, and of course, I'm all the way through it myself already.
Right.
But then I've been working on this since day one, right? So, but then you go into getting verified with the bureaus, shows you how to do all that, and then you get into the tier 1 vendors. And when you get into the tier 1 vendors, you actually have to have 3 cards per tier. If you don't get 3 cards per tier, you're not going to build true corporate credit. You're going to build a little credit profile, right?
Well, so many people are unaware of that. The fact that you got Dun & Bradstreet, Business Equifax, Business Experian, and if you don't have a blend of vendors that report to those, you're really not building real business credit. You might be in one vertical, but you might end up needing hard money at some point or real deal money, and they're going to look at your blended SBSS and all your different vendor accounts as well as your personal to see, hey, is this person qualify for the big money? So it just sets them up correctly.
Well, if you think about it, you go in here to look at a card, and it tells you, and I'm not going to scroll all the way through them because I'll just give you're getting a few examples.
Well, there's 200 plus vendors in there, right?
So it gives you a green check mark because obviously I have a Uline account. Mm-hmm. But all you have to do is come in here and tell us, you hit report results and tell us what happened. You get approved. It gets you the green check mark. You move to the next card, apply for it. If you hit the learn more button, it'll actually pull open. It'll pull open a window that tells you exactly what tiers they're in,
right?
What their
underwriting criteria.
Their underwriting
That's criteria.
Right there. Yep. And so it's and then you just hit apply and it takes you right to their website.
That's fantastic. So Brent, everything that a business could possibly need to go out and substantiate, really build their foundation as it relates to business credit and have access to, I think we have 200 plus different lenders and vendors in there right now, and it's just growing every day. Right?
Well, we have that 200 plus lenders or vendors. We have, I don't even know how many lenders.
Oh yeah, actual money lenders.
Probably 400 or 500. And you apply. There's 2 different places to apply, and you get put in front of all of them.
Right. So as you move out of this, so everybody can clearly see that this is a very, very detailed, very in depth strategy for building corporate credit that really walks you through every single possible step without having to talk to somebody on the phone or on Zoom or things like that. But let's look at the hub. It looks like, I know there's a lot more in here. Just for a glance sake, we kind of peek and show some people what's up in there.
Yeah, I thought I had it open. Let's just open it here. Okay, I'm gonna.
We got the tour, so everywhere you're never going to be lost in here. Even though every window's like going over the bridge to Tirabithia, right? Yep. You're just like, whoa, what a magical world! But there's so much in there. Look, you could apply for lenders. There's vendor,
and by the way, I will stop you right there. With the vendors, it only allows you to see the tier 1 vendors. So when you first get in there, so you'll get 30.
You got to do the work.
You got to do the work. Once you get to the tier 2, you'll get another 30 or 40 or whatever it is. Yep. And once you get it just opens up as you go along. But yeah, I want to make sure people understand that. They get in here and they look at the vendors and there's 30 and that's not enough.
But the goal is to get them to the promised land, tier 4 plus. And we have a lot of tools that are in there that actually can help you accelerate that from turbo touring on down the line. There's so many different tools there from the different partner relationships that we have. And there's business tools, which was kind of our magic Rolodex, these relationships. When we have legal touring coming, we have multiple different things. So really every month it's just going to get better and better and better as we go along. But I see business templates. How many business templates do we actually have in there, Brent?
It's right around 3,000.
If you click on it, I bet it'll tell us right there.
Oh, you're right. It will. 3,190.
3,190 documents that if a business ever ran across it in their life, and it doesn't matter what it is, everything that relates to business, because if you're in business today and you aren't documenting things, you aren't memorializing things, you aren't keeping a record of where you are within business, you're doing yourself a disservice, almost as much of a disservice as if you're in business and you're not building corporate credit on your business.
Well, I use our own these documents that we've created, operating agreements, articles of incorporation, media releases when we have people on the podcast.
Right.
I mean, all that stuff's in there. I mean, you can't not find something in there. 3,200 documents. If you can't find the document, let us know. We'll put it in there.
So even if you paid $1 per document, right? You went into these places, hey, we'll create you a document. And it's only $1. That's $3,200 worth of documents. Of course, you and I know if you go and you have somebody prepare an operating agreement, it's quite a bit more on that. Or if you're doing amendments to that operating agreement, or maybe you're setting up key man stuff, or whatever you're doing, it costs money every single time these documents are there. They can edit them, they can save them, they can store them so they can recall them at any time. They don't have to dig through different outlets. Well, that's huge. So look, we can show you so much more that's in this thing, but the reality is it just goes and it goes and it goes, and we just keep adding to it. But our goal is not to make it a situation where it costs people a bunch of money. $99, Brent, that would be the smallest business expense I think I've ever had in business.
I would agree. And Erle, are we making them sign a contract?
No contract.
No contract? So you mean, seriously, so somebody could come into our app or software. We keep calling it an app. It's a software.
Yeah, it works software. It's very intuitive.
It works on the phone, right? But we keep calling it an app. It's software. But somebody could literally come in, pay $100.
That's correct.
Go through and get their EIN set up correctly, the way the banks want to see it, and then cancel?
They could.
But they don't want to.
Huh?
But they don't want to.
They aren't going to, because behind door number 2, door number 3, door number 4, and all the doors that we're installing, it's just going to be that collective of everything. We've spent years pulling resources together so that we have an answer for really any business situation that comes along. And I know your email is completely full of people going, I'd love to talk to you about maybe being a part of what you guys have going on, because we have a field force. We have a team that goes out and talks to these small to medium-sized businesses. That's the avatar that everybody wants. But imagine being able to promote your own business within this membership platform.
Yep. It's amazing. And you're right. It's not just our emails.
That's right.
Tessa's email is blowing up now to the point that she went and shut her LinkedIn off.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, you hear that all the time, and there might be a point in time we have to, but.
Well, we'll get VAs to start. We really need to right now to start going through that stuff.
Yeah.
But we're so doggone particular about who we let in there. I bet you, just with all the resources that are already in there, and frankly, you guys haven't seen all of it, but the reality is there is so much in there, and there's so much right on the heels of coming in, and it's not coming in so that we can charge you more. It's coming in so that you can operate your business better. Our goal is and has always been to reposition people on a micro level to where they're operating like a Wall Street company. We bring the tools, the resources, and the things to the table that most businesses certainly wouldn't even know where to find. probably couldn't afford them if they found them, and really wouldn't know where to start if they wanted to go look for them. We've taken all our years and started pulling that stuff into the fold. And by being a TriTuring member, you definitely get that advantage.
I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to be a TriTuring member.
Well, maybe they're not serious about business.
No, that's true. That'd be the only reason. I mean, I can go back to the documents again and say, one thing that I did very well in my trucking company, but I didn't do it at any other companies before that, was doing the quarterly or the monthly corporate minutes. If you don't do that,
right,
you can get yourself in trouble. I did it with my trucking company because I had a CFO and all the, everybody else, and we had to do it and had partners. But, when it comes to doing that, if you're not doing that, that's a big no-no, and the documents are right there.
Brent, what if somebody's an entrepreneur? They haven't even started a business yet. They want to start a business, but they're a little hesitant. They definitely don't want to do it wrong, which is what 99% of the people we deal with have done is wrong. And we're back there cleaning up. But can we get somebody started that has never been in business?
Yep. Talk about that. I'll talk about that company that I have that's 2 years old.
Right.
It's no revenue. I drive a Ram TRX that's in the company name. My daughter has a brand new Jeep Cherokee I just bought a month ago is in the company name. I have $100,000 in corporate credit cards, and people go, "How did you do that?" Well, I used it for my everyday personal expenses. So now this company profile sitting there, top tier credit, access to capital, access to be able to go out and get funding to go purchase a business or do something. Obviously, if you go out and look for hard money, you got to have money in the bank. They're going to want to see bank statements. So if I'll start depositing money in the account or whatever, which is fine. I can do that, but have that all set up correctly the right way. I mean, you talked on a big webinar yesterday with James Dentley and his group, and he said something at the very end after you came off. He said, if you're thinking about starting a business and you don't know where you're going to get the funds to do so, you need to start doing this now, and then get yourself the credit built. And when you get the credit built, now you're out there, doing things the right way from the beginning.
Well, LexisNexis has decided there's about 125 things at minimum. Could be more right now. Last look, it was that if you do it wrong, it's going to potentially pop up a red flag when you go to get funding or lending for your business. And, this stat I always go back to because it blows my mind, but right now, close to 700,000 small to medium-sized businesses shut down. Every year, they go bye-bye forever. They shut their doors. And I think everybody kind of knows that it's pretty tough to make it past your first year, your second year, hitting that 5-year mark. Whoa. But there's usually maybe 40, 50% of them left that can make it to that spot. But of all of those that shut down, they do a polling every year. They do a sampling on it. And 83% of them, and it's been really consistent, have said, if I had access to credit and capital, I could have kept my doors open.
Yep.
But what does that mean for the business? It goes far beyond just that business owner, Brent.
Yeah, I mean, you have their families and their employees and everything else. I mean, a lot of people start businesses as side hustles, and some take off and some don't, and they may go by the wayside because they thought it was a great idea and it didn't take off. But at the end of the day, why do you start a business? You start a business to get out of that 9-to-5 grind or the 8-to-5 grind and work for yourself. And when you do that, obviously you work from 3 a.m. to 2 a.m. the next day or every day. So put in the work.
7 days a week. Sunday, you're in podcast studios.
We shouldn't be telling people it's hard to be a business owner, but it's not easy, and it's not for the weak, but people do have these great ideas, and some people's ideas take off and they're very successful very quickly. And that's what drives a lot of people to want to be an entrepreneur, I think, is they see somebody else's success. But you got to have the access to capital to do it.
I'll bet you and I have had over the last 2-3 years, 500 different conversations where one of us has said to the other one, man, I talked to Joyce today. Great lady, has several employees, seem like really nice people, and they're just not in a spot to start building corporate credit. And it kills us, right? It hurts us inside because we connect with these people, our field force. They connect with these people. When you talk to someone who's in business and you're listening to their dreams and maybe you're meeting some of their employees and you're hearing their stories and stuff like that, and you're looking at what they've done, you realize they're probably not going to be here in 6 months because they haven't done the foundational things to protect themselves. And a lot of people might be watching this going, well, I don't need money. I make so much money. I roll it in, but it's not when you need money that you go and get money.
Right.
You got to know that, ahead of time that it's there.
Yep. Yeah, and the funniest thing I think about about the whole thing is we talk to big businesses all the time. I have people come up to me, and we were at a convention in Houston. I had a lady come and she goes, "I have great business credit. I have the Dun and Bradstreet," and I'm like, and I just said, "And
I got my Dunn's number. I'm good."
Yeah, and I simply said and smiled, and she goes, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "Well, let me just look at your credit profile," and I showed it to her, and she started laughing because it's nothing. And we run across these. I mean, I can talk about this all day long, but I mean, I've had probably six times a year, and you can't even make this up. 6 times a year, I have conversations with business owners that literally are buying jets on their EIN number,
right,
without a personal guarantee.
Jets,
a jet, $3, $4, $5 million jet with no personal guarantee, but they go try to buy a brand new pickup at Ford and they get declined.
Different bureau they're
looking at.
Yeah,
and the plane place looked at, or the jet place looked at Dun & Bradstreet, and they have a great credit profile there. But we go over to like Equifax is where the car lots usually pull, and they have 2 $500 credit cards they don't even use.
And then you start dealing with people that want to deal with business experience. If you don't have that blend, and if you don't know how to, this is the fun one that I hear is, well, I could do it myself. I've been working on it for a while. Have you?
Yeah.
Do you know what you're score? I'm doing pretty good. I've got multiple cards with my business name on it right now. And I'm like, oh, and then we pull it up and they're like, why isn't that there? Well, they don't report. If you don't know who reports, if you don't know who they report to, if you don't understand the underwriting criteria or the utilization that you're going to need to have to get things going, you're just shooting yourself in the foot.
Or know when you can apply without putting your date of birth or social.
Yeah.
We had a client come in, and I always explained to everybody, you start out at the beginning. You have to personal guarantee your company is 18 years old. Don't matter if it's a 100-year-old company. If there's no credit there, it's an 18-year-old kid, and you have to actually co-sign for it. And so I tell people I tell them all the time. And I had a guy get in our software that we had we have with coaching, and he called me and said, "Hey, I'm getting declined for everything." And I said, "Well, let's jump on a Zoom and let me see what's going on." Well, he was checking the box saying no personal guarantee. I said, "Remember, you can't do that yet because you don't have credit yet."
Right.
And he's like, "Oh, that's right." And so then he started getting approved, because you have to build that strategically, and you have to be intentional with it.
So let's talk about another thing, because look, we built Try Turing to protect businesses, to go out there. Obviously, we're not going to get rich off of $99, but we are going to change a lot of lives and help people reposition. But think about the businesses, and we run into this a lot. The people that are like, I don't need money. I'm good. Everything's fine. I don't use credit. I pay for cash and stuff like that. And we turn around to how long have you been in business? Oh, 4, 5, 6 years. And how'd you set it up? Because they personally guaranteed everything. They built it the way you and I built businesses for decades, which is you use your personal credit. It roller coasters along. But if you get solvent, you use that money. But what happens to the person now that their business goes to the wayside and they never did anything with corporate credit?
They're stuck on the hook for it all.
Yeah, personal guarantees. They're going to come in and grab your house, grab your cars, grab your bank accounts, your 401k. So building corporate credit isn't just about getting access to credit and capital. A lot of times it's about replacing the encumbrances, the way you've tied yourself personally. Build corporate credit here, better terms and rates, grab it on the other side of the corporate veil, pay it off so it's off you personally, and now it lands where it's supposed to be. So maybe you don't need money as a business. Maybe you don't need that, but maybe you need access to that massive network that we have within that Try Turing membership that changes things.
I don't think you ever run into a situation in any business that you don't come across where you need money.
Well, we've talked to some doozies before.
I know, but I heard an idea, and it's a phenomenal idea. Buying a competitor, right? Owning a market. You have one competitor in your town, or maybe there's 6. There's a gentleman. I don't know the gentleman, but we heard it there in Houston when we were at that event, and this guy bought an HVAC company in a town of like 50,000 people or something. There's 6 HVAC companies there. And he ended up going and buying each one of those HVAC companies. So now he owns the market, but he had access to capital, so he was able to do that.
Right.
And he has 6 phones sitting on his secretary's desk, and if whichever one rings, she answers that company. So he didn't even rebrand.
I remember this guy.
Yeah. So I mean, that's crazy, but he would not have been able to do that had he not had access to capital.
Yeah, imagine that. I mean, you're in business. Everybody has competition in business, but if you have the ability to go buy your competition, and they don't have the ability to buy you.
Yep.
If there's revenue,
Yep.
If there's revenue in those companies and a return on investment, if you can justify the dollars you're spending for it because it's already doing revenue and it pays for itself, you've eliminated competition, you've increased your revenue, hopefully your bottom line dollars, but you're gaining that advantage on it. Look, there's a lot of different things we could talk about today as it relates to Try Turing. We wanted to give people just kind of a glimpse inside here on Grindwise. If you want to get involved with Try Turing, you can go right down below. Go to tryturing.ai. You can get started today. I wouldn't wait. Or you can give us a call, jump on one of the calendars, and we can set you up with our live coaching. But there's a lot of resources, a lot of things there that you're going to be able to take advantage of. If you haven't already, make sure you smash that like button. Follow us for more content. Hit the bell. And don't forget about looking down below because there's some other resources, downloadable things that you're going to want to take advantage of. But get started with Try Turing today. No guarantees on how long it's going to take for you to make that change. But if you start today, that change starts happening for you. Brent?
I have one thing I want to say. Have you tried Turing?
Have you tried Turing? I'm out.
I'm out.